This is the Conelrad Alert. Civil defense information will be broadcast at 6:40.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Y2K, how can we prepare?
Stop a few of their machines and radios. Throw them into darkness for a few hours.
We are fighting for our lives. My family must survive.
Food for 5 years. 1,000 gallons of gas, air filtration, water filtration.
Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Odyssey. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim. Today is August the 10th, 2023, and this is episode 351 of Workshop Radio. How is everyone out there this evening? We're going to open up our Thursday episode with our latest edition of I Shit You Not, a definition and explanation, historical background of prepper phrases and quotes. Tonight's one that's rather, I don't know, I've always enjoyed this phrase. Some of you may not have heard it before, and if you haven't, I hope you enjoy it. But the quote itself is, "Mankind is never more than 9 meals away from anarchy." I love that line. Maybe don't love the use of the word anarchy, but it is what it is in there. So I traced back the history of where this started from, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to look at right quick. So this one was 1932 was let me just make sure we got our dates here correctly. So 1932, this was in the Morning Call of Peterson, New Jersey. They printed remarks by a John J. Fitzgerald, who was the secretary of Patterson Chamber of Commerce at the time. Said that if this doesn't sound like something we deal with today, beef is going higher. Fresh eggs are selling for between, are you ready, 40 and 45 cents a dozen. And so it goes. It's a dangerous game, this continually forcing up the price of food. Only about 7 meals at this point stand between a man and anarchy. Then we go into 1946, the New York Herald Tribune. They published a letter from a reader who employed an instance with the word murder. See if I can find that one here for you. It said, let me back up just a little. It said, "How nicely civilization has become balanced is shown by the easily perceived fact that we are never more than 9 meals away from anarchy. Throw an impenetrable wall around this metropolitan zone of 10 million persons, prevent the people from receiving a supply of food and water for 3 days, and our vaunted civilization goes to the scrap heap." Finally, this one here, and they think it may have worked its way out of Alaska, which was kind of cool. But they said, there is a saying that only 9 meals stand between man and a revolution. In Alaska, they say 1 day without food, a man will complain. 2 days without food, and he will steal. 3 days without food, and he will murder. No matter the origin of this phrase, mankind is never more than 9 meals away from anarchy. If that is not the definition of needing to be prepared, I don't know what is. I love that saying. I hate the saying and I love the saying, but if it's not a refrain to have more than 9 meals on hand, I don't know what is. Let's get the announcements out of the way, guys, and then we're going to dive into some fun stuff this evening. I saved Cabot's question for a little later on. If you got questions about content creation, throw them in the comments. I'll answer them for you. First off, it's Thursday, so we got to remember our sponsor, good friend, brother, Joel Riles from Fortress K9. He was on the show not too long ago, and if you guys have seen, there's been a few clips from his show on there that have done really well on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Go by fortressk9.com or check him out at the Protection Dog Podcast, because every time he comes on the show, people say, wow, he is so inspiring. And he is, but it's because he put up with a lot of shit for a long time in order to build the life he wants to live and to make the money he wants to live. So support him, fill your ear holes with his podcast, put him in your feed, and give Joel some support. Number 2, this one's kind of fun. Aaron of Two Chicks Homestead, well, Nate too, but Aaron especially has been bugging me all the time. "Tim, whenever you go to Tennessee, you need to stop and visit us." And I'm like, yeah, but Aaron, I don't like you that much. I'm just kidding. I love them, and I'm such a dick for not going down and visiting them. So we decided this time I'm going to stop. So we planned it on the schedule for me to stop in, and we're going to have a workshop get together at the same time. It's going to be Saturday. September 16th. If you want more information, I'll tell you a little more about it here. But if you want more, there's a link tonight in the Telegram group. If you're in the area, you want to drive in and hang out with a whole bunch of like-minded folk, give it a go. So we're going to meet at Nate and Aaron's house. If you want the super secret location, come in the Telegram group. We'll give it to you. We're going to do I'm going to do a Q&A/roundtable type discussion where I'll answer any questions anybody wants. It'll be fun and very low-key, laid back. Nate's going to give a tour of his rabbit hutch and give the basics of rabbit care. We're going to do, not we, back up, Tim. Nate's going to do a ham radio high-frequency demo. Then they're going to do a walk and discuss the plants that Nate and Aaron use. And then the real reason I'm going is for the drinks and food and fellowship. Honestly, that's what I was going to, that was my suggestion. Let's just get together and talk. And other people decided we should really make it into more than that. And this is what it's going to be. Obviously free of charge. Food and drinks will be provided, but just come, bring a good attitude, hang out with some fellow delinquents and some fellow Two Chicks Homestead folk, and we will have a great time. Just going to shout out to everybody we got. I see Cabot, I see Gunfighter Concealment, Pippin, Robin Holstein, and brother David Ziegler. How are you folks out there this evening? And finally, if you want to support what I do, and I believe it has been just about 12 months. I think I just got my first yearly renewal this morning on PayPal. So patchofthemonth.co, guys. You get cool patches, even better than this Toolman Tim patch, of course. But if you want to support what I'm doing, if you believe in value for value exchange and you love the value you get from this podcast on at least a 3 times a week basis, and you also like getting politically incorrect, rather humorous patches, $10 a month, $100 a year. All right. So with that, guys, this evening, I thought we'd start out with a little stranger than fiction section, because as I was laying in bed last night, right next to me, Becky sent me a TikTok of a video that looked like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And I had no idea that this was going on. And some of you may, but I didn't. And I thought it would be a quick little thing to touch on I don't like the word highlights, but the points of what's going on over in Hawaii right now. Those fires are scary, guys. And if you don't know about them, I figure, let me give you a 3 to 4 minute kind of overview of what's going on. But if that's not stranger than fiction, it just sucks. It seems like something out of a movie. So some of the, like I said, I don't really want to call them highlights, but 2 of the evacuation centers had to close down because the fires actually approached the evacuation centers. That's scary. So when you evacuate, when you bug out, first off, my thoughts are living on an island. That must really suck because you're surrounded. I often thought over there, the biggest kind of risk would be a volcanic eruption or maybe a tsunami or something. I never thought about wildfires on the island. So 2 of the evac centers had to completely shut down. So you take your family, you pack up, you leave your home, you go to what's supposed to be a safe space because everybody's looking for a safe space. And they're like, sorry, but it is closed down. We have to close it down because, well, the fire's coming. It sucks. Okay, let's throw it on top of this. For whatever reason, I'm guessing the fire burned up the lines. The 911 emergency call center had to shut down. Cell service off. Home phone service off. So there you go. Your safe space is gone. Your comms and emergency comms are gone. Where do you go from there? Over 12,000 people on the island, on that island anyway, without power at the moment. And like Michael Libby says, fire's moving super fast there because of weather. Absolutely. We're going to touch on that. There's some interesting things here, maybe some lessons to learn about. I don't know. Yeah, Robin says Hawaii looks like the aftermath of a Godzilla, a King Ghidorah movie. So much history lost. Yes, one of this I wish I could remember the name, guys, and if somebody can, but one of these historic towns that go back to the 1800s, they had a tree that was brought in there that was very special to them, and it burnt down. But so the conditions in Hawaii, I didn't know this was a thing, have been seriously dry there. On top of that, the humidity has been really, low, which is not good for Hawaii. And Hurricane Dora has been off the coast fanning the flames, literally and figuratively. So you've got this perfect storm of conditions that was just ripe for a fire. Now, they don't know what caused the fire. Nobody does. And at this point, it really doesn't matter. Their best guess is either a downed power line from the wind or from a lightning striking a tree. But like I said, it doesn't matter. Now the people just have to react and hopefully have a plan for this sort of thing. It's pretty insane. So right now, at least when I updated my notes just before I went live, over 2,000 people in shelters. The roads into and out of West Maui are completely blocked off except for responders. So even if you did want to bug out, hopefully you already have, but if you do, you're not getting out of there. 36 people have passed away so far from this. There were people who jumped into the ocean because the fires were that fast moving. I read an article, an interview with a first responder there who said the fire could be a mile away from your home and within 3 minutes it's on your dooryard. It's just ultra dry there right now with hurricane strength winds that have been fanning those flames like crazy. And of course, we all know where, a lot of the blame ends up whenever the news writes a story, but I read quite a bit. And one of the big issues beyond the really dry weather, they said, has been a ton of non-native grasslands being planted by plantations and ranchers on the island. And they said basically what ended up happening are these are a bit invasive. They grow really fast, but they're not acclimated to the climate of Hawaii, and they get really, really dry. This is already the dry season. This is when Hawaii starts drying up. You have all these non-native grasslands that have been being planted for 7-8 decades minimum, and they've taken over a lot of the open land that wouldn't have been that way before. So you get these plants that aren't designed to be there. They die faster. They're drier than native plants, and you have a perfect storm. It's unbelievable. Becky and I might talk about it a little bit more tomorrow night, but I just wanted it. I don't know. I want to find the balance between talking about news and ignoring news, because almost everything out there, as we say, doesn't affect the water, the temperature of the water in our hot tub or our pool. But this kind of stuff I like to know about. I do. However I find out about it, I like to share it along, because it's, I don't know. If somebody wants to help, they can help. If somebody wants to learn from the situation, we can learn from it. But it's just, I think it's the type of news that warrants discussion. Let's put it that way. And I enjoy it. I don't enjoy hearing about the suffering from other people, but I like digging into these stories and finding out the why and the why for behind them. And I like sharing them with you because, as preppers, I bet you a lot of people weren't even prepared for wildfires. Apparently it is an ongoing thing. But again, if I lived in Hawaii, the things I'd be worried about would be a tsunami or possibly a slow moving volcanic eruption. And I think in most instances, if you lived right on the coast, other than a tsunami, your best bet for all of it would be having a boat, some sort of way to evac into the water. That's what my guess is. And Erin says, absolutely. She said, I bet the death toll is more than 36. That was one thing I didn't mention. I should have read 36 confirmed dead and tons more unaccounted for. So it sucks. And Pipin says three days to get the F out. Rough dang day. Absolutely it is. Shout out to Spags out there. Great to have you. And Ryan, he is into duction cups for ducks on Jeeps. My daughter was talking about those today. And I said, hey, I know a guy. So rather interesting. So there's the story, guys. I wanted to share that. That is stranger than fiction, because imagine living on an island. Oh, they got rain today, Michael said. Great. That's good news, folks. And if we can help them in any way, if anybody, whatever it is. But I just wanted to share that story because there's people suffering. Okay, so next, I have no positive segue there whatsoever, so we're just going to move right on. I want to talk about if I had to do it all over again. But before I do, just before I went live, Nick Nimmin, I think, came out with a video saying that YouTube had some new announcements coming up, and they're pretty big deals. So I wanted to pass this information along to you guys as well, especially for content creators into shorts. I don't think it's going to affect many of us that much, but I'm pretty excited about the second part. So first part is YouTube is eliminating clickable links. That scared the hell out of me when I read that. In short videos, in their shorts. So apparently what has happened is that the shorts feed has become absolutely full of spam, of people just throwing things up with clickable links to get you to click on, adult sites, buy this crap, this scam, whatever the hell it happens to be. And what YouTube's been noticing is a ton of people going off platform for no reason whatsoever. And of course, YouTube, their existence is to keep you in the algorithm, right? So first off, they're eliminating clickable links from within short videos. So that's going to suck for some people who have, product endorsements with built-in links into their products. I get it. But for the most part, the lifespan of shorts is pretty short. Pardon the pun. So secondly, they're going to allow you to add a group of clickable links in your profile, similar to Instagram and TikTok, but a group of them. I think it's similar to the update they did to your channel on the desktop. But here's the cool thing, and I am stoked about this new feature. They are going to add content links from within shorts. So if you guys post a video now and you put cards, clickable link cards in your video, whether it's in the middle or near the end, that can take you to another piece of content from within your channel. The big thing that people have been bitching about shorts right now is how you basically have two different paths on YouTube. You're either building shorts or you're building long form content, and never the twain shall meet. And people are building, these big followings on either side, and there's no way to bring them back and forth. So what they're looking to do is to create a path from shorts back to your long form content. So if you've got something like I do, where I repurpose my content into, like, say I have a video, 10 things you need to know about buying a generator, and I repurpose it into one thing you need to know about buying a generator. Now, at the 50-second mark of that video, I can place a link or a clickable card so that people can carry on and watch the full long-term form of the video. I don't know if that's going to be a hit or not, but I'm excited. That, to me, that's way more good news than bad news. So we get that announcement out of the way. Darkwing Dave, how are you? Says, that was us after Hurricane Hugo in Puerto Rico. People were talking about how rough they had it on the coast. I'm sure you did, but you could always go north, south, or west versus a long swim. Exactly that. Exactly. Yes. And Robin says, shoot, I can barely create shorts now. They're changing it up. Not that bad. No, it's, they're not changing the process of it at all. It's just that some people have been putting clickable links in their videos, and they're eliminating that, but they're going to allow you to link to existing content. But if you're not doing shorts now, it's not really going to affect you at all. You're just going to learn the process as you go. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to do a follow-up on my, I'm doing an experiment on shorts lately, as you know, or as you've probably seen, uploading 4 shorts a day to all my platforms. I'm going to run the numbers, and I am going to also talk about this new program I've been using that uses AI to repurpose my content, and I love it. Howdy, Letty Lou. Great to have you. Okay, so if I had to do it all over again. So before we go into that, I want to answer the one question I've been asked so far this evening from Cabot Porter. First question of the evening. Would you? Would you? Well, would you rather what? No. In other words, if I had to do it all over again, would I do it all over again? Absolutely, 100%, a resounding, without hesitation, without a doubt, yes, I would do it over again. Even knowing how much work, how frustrating it is, the nasty comments you get, the months of hard work and stress, believe it or not, that content can put you through sometimes. Not bitching at all about it. I friggin' love it. Would I do it over again? Yeah, I would. Because I don't think I knew how good, how much I was going to love this when I started. I knew I was going to really enjoy it. And to be honest, I mean, I dream big, I talk big, I put on a good show, but deep down inside, I don't think, I didn't know where it was going to end up, where we're at this point, to the point where, well, I don't know if I even, and maybe I did mention it last time, but I told you guys earlier this year that I had a goal for X amount of dollars to make it, in a month, to make it full-time income for me. And I missed it by less than $100 last month. So I'm there. It's awesome. I love it. It's a lot of work. Hell yeah, it's a lot of work. No big deal. But, I drove 6-hour round trip today to take my daughter to a orthodontic appointment and got home at 10 after 6 and was down here finishing show prep so I could come on here. And that's not a bitch at all because I fucking love it. And I love coming in here and hanging out with you guys. So would I do it all over again? Hell yeah. The title itself, starting over, the thumbnail, I was like, somebody's going to be like, what the hell, what's Tim doing? I thought it was one of them that's going to grab you, a little clickbaity in a good sense, I suppose. So what's the idea behind tonight's show? It got me thinking. I'm like, let's say 4 years ago. I'm going to use 4 years. It wasn't quite 4 years ago yet. But the very first video I did for this channel that was, construed as close to what I'm doing right now would have been November of 2019. I officially launched the channel in February of 2020, a month before something happened. I can't remember. It seemed like a big deal at the time. Turned out to be a whole lot to do about nothing, but here we are. So I wanted to share the tips I've learned. I got a lot of them. We'll see where we end up. Hey, Martinson family, great to have you. A whole lot of shit that I've learned over the last 4 years. Now, do I have any regrets? None. Zero. Would I have done some things different? Sure. But it doesn't matter because I'm exactly where I need to be at the moment. So kind of what I wanted this to be is if I were starting over and I could have the experience that I have now 4 years in, these are some of the things I'd probably tell 38-year-old Toolman Tim instead of 42-year-old old man here. So yeah. So what would I do different? I think the first thing, and you ever know when you're talking to your kids and you're like, well, if you do this, it's going to be a lot of work. My daughter, Charlotte, if you get braces on, there's a couple of years where you can't eat anything, not anything, certain things you can't eat. She's like, yeah, I know. And she might, intellectually, she might know, but she doesn't really know how bad that's going to suck after 3 months. And she's like, I just want to eat peanuts or whatever it happens to be. But we get over it, right? Because if we knew how hard the work was really going to be and you could experience it all at one time, I don't think anybody would ever do it. But I would stand behind my shoulder and tell myself, it's going to be a long haul, man. It's going to be 3+ years of constant content, of missing one deadline in 3.5 years. I missed one single Wednesday video over all the years. And that's simply because I decided not to make one that week. It was pretty cool. Whatever it is. It was like, anyway, yeah. I was going to say Cal Ripken's streak. Well, what I did was nothing like Cal Ripken's streak, but I just remember the night he decided I'm taking the night off. And it was pretty funny. That's what I did. But I would do everything I could to explain to myself how much of a slog, how much of a long, slow, hard burn content creation is. And just be prepared for it. Because if you absolutely knew, you might not do it. I still would, but I'm just trying to tell everyone and myself out there how long of a hard slog it is, and that's okay. Number 2, this is where I'm not going to give you numbers because I didn't number them on here, so why am I doing that now? Now, this is a tough one because it's not an absolute at all, but I would say focus on quality over quantity right away. Now, are you sure about that, Tim? No, I'm not actually 100% sure because I focused on quantity right away while trying to improve the quality. And I've since come to realize that once you get to a certain spot, spending a whole lot more time on a single piece of content is worth way more than putting out a bunch of inferior pieces of content. So where does that leave me? Because 4 years ago, when I started making content, I was making, 5 videos a week. Plus I got into some podcasting after that. And that's how I learned where quality came from, was by doing a shit ton of stuff. But I think if I could force myself, I would say, focus on making the one video a week that you absolutely can't live without, that focus on making it the absolute best. Because I was thinking back and I'm like, there's a lot of times when I phone things in and not because I chose to, just because I didn't know any better. I was just making content for the sake of making content. And, I remember like my money making minutes. Some of those were just, hey, sit down and talk in front of a camera and a microphone. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all have to start there. But at the same time, I think And I might change my mind on this in 6 months, guys. So that's my prerogative because it's my show. But honestly, I would say if you can focus on quality and put as much as you can into a single piece of content each week, you might find success faster than I did. I'm not sure. I'm just speaking out loud here, but I absolutely would. Nate says he's got me on the big TV over in Telegram. If you're not on the Telegram group, hey, that's a handsome looking devil there on the big TV. Nice to see you, Nate and Aaron. Number 3, stop numbering them, Tim. Why are you doing this? Focus on packaging as much as the product. I love the saying, the medium is the message. But here's the deal. And they are absolutely, yes. So exactly, Cabot. So Cabot says, I'm just a consumer, but honestly, quantity and quality are probably a toss-up. And I go back and forth. So I will go, and that's part of the beauty of making content, is I will just get laser focused on a certain thing. Like for a while, it was improving my thumbnail game, and I just got laser focused on it. And I will go back and forth between laser focused on quality, and when I get the quality nailed down, then I will go to quantity. So because quality takes a lot of work at first, but the more you do it, more and more and more and more, you will find that it becomes easier. So then you can put out a quantity of quality, if that makes sense. And Cabot said, honesty is number one, believability. And I hope that's what I put out there, is that I am who I am. And, a lot of the editing and, packaging that I put on things is to bring eyeballs in. And once you're in here, hopefully you see that I'm a genuine Canadian dude who likes dad jokes, drinks bourbon, and is honest about the fact that he doesn't have it all together. I guess there's that. But yeah, so I go back and forth. Quantity over quality, quality over quantity, back and forth. But right now, I'm really focused on quality again. We'll see. The packaging as much as the product. So this is the thing. It's the chicken and the egg concept here. But you absolutely have to have a killer product, because if you don't have a good video or a good piece of content, your audience isn't going to pay attention to it, or because you're wasting people's time. Give somebody what they want. But here's the thing. You can have the best, most kick-ass video, podcast, song. I don't care what it is. You can have the best piece of content in the world. But if you can't convince people to look at it, listen to it, consume it, you might as well not have it. Simple as that. So if you can make it enticing to the masses, or to not even the masses, sorry, that's the wrong term. If you can make it enticing to your ideal customer, then you're succeeding. So work on both. Work on making it appealing, both in content and in appearance. Byron says, how much editing did you do in the beginning compared to now? That's a good question. When I started, I edited the shit out of my videos, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I just edited out the pauses, the ums, the ahs. I got better at that as time went on. And then I took about a year to a year and a half swing where I did almost no editing whatsoever. So once I got very comfortable with getting rid of the filler words and just kind of hit record and ramble, I am absolutely, then I stopped doing any editing at all. I would just let it roll, and I was happy with that. Now, over the last 6 to 8 months, I'm back to editing a lot more because I was ready to up my editing and quality game. And part of that is what we'll talk about a little bit later on. But I realized less is more in some content. And I appreciate that, Cabot, about honesty is number one, believability. Because, again, a person is only as, your content is only as good as the person that's sharing the content, right? And if you don't have trust with your audience and your community and the people that are consuming your content, you might as well not be doing it, because you shouldn't. So yes, here you go. Pipin says, I'll search for assistance to repair something. Most videos have 8 minutes of intro, 3 minutes of VAG repair. Yes, I learned that the hard way, guys. We're going to talk about that as we go along here. Okay, next. People always say, what should I spend money on? And first off, don't ever spend money on something you can't afford. But when you're ready to spend a little bit of money on your content, spend it on a good cordless mic. I wasted a lot of money on some shitty mics that didn't work. And I've told people this 100 times, but if somebody can't hear you, they're going to tune you out. If your video is kind of shitty, but they can hear you, absolutely, because most people still watch YouTube when they're doing something else or listen. I am blown away by how many people watch the recording of this live stream on YouTube. And by the way, the person who sent me a message the other day about the ads in the replays, I'm working on it. I haven't figured out how to automate that yet. So apparently a lot of people listen to this podcast while having YouTube playing on their phone while they work. I didn't do that. It's awesome. Thank you for doing that. And I'm going to try to make it a much better user experience for you. So thanks for reaching out. But yeah, if people can't hear you, they're going to turn you off quick. If they can't see you, they might give you a little bit of leeway. So buy yourself a decent cordless mic that you can afford. You'll enjoy it way better. Being able to walk around and talk or just be untethered is a beautiful thing. And they don't have to be super, super expensive. This is something, okay, I'm always learning, but find YouTubers who are sharing their knowledge on how to improve. And I've mentioned it, but Film Booth is a great one. Channel Makers was good, but the main guy just left there and started his own channel, which he is awesome. I enjoy his stuff immensely. Nick Nimmin is great. TubeBuddy is a great one. But find those channels and watch a whole bunch of whatever they're talking about. And no matter what level you're at, you're going to pull a little bit in. But just find the content creators who are telling you how to get better, but also find YouTubers or podcasters or content creators that you like and copy them. Because if they're successful, and it doesn't, okay, I hope you guys know that it doesn't mean like literally copy. I know you know this. Don't literally copy people's videos, but watch people and see what's working for them. What colors in your thumbnails, what titles in their videos, how do they structure their content to make it attractive to other people? You know, what content do they do? Is it their personality you like? What is it? And then try to emulate that, because all of the best teachers out there have learned from the teachers that came before them. And I watched an interview last evening with Ayn Rand, with Mike Wallace. It was from the late 1950s, and he brought her on as an interesting person. And he asked her where she got her philosophy from, and she said, nobody but Aristotle. So even Ayn Rand, who basically come up with objectivism on her own, was influenced by someone else. So find people who are doing the things that you want to emulate and emulate that in the best way possible. K-Bonk says, just got his jump box from my last video. I'm glad. That was a killer deal on that. You have to let me know what you think, because I've been quite impressed with it. I've got a battery, what do you want to call it? Power station coming up tomorrow. And Nate watched that interview too. It was a great interview. She was a snappy lady. And it was such a great interview on both sides. It was so nice to see somebody ask questions and then shut the hell up, let the respondent speak, but also not interrupt while she was speaking. It was so refreshing, because you don't see that very often. And something else I noticed while watching older interviews is that people were way more careful with their words. I just saw an interview with the Oppenheimer, depending on how you pronounce it, Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb. And they were asking him questions about, did he have regrets in life? And his responses were so measured, where he almost stopped and thought about every syllable, every word that he was going to put forward. And Ayn Rand showed that same intention with her words. It was awesome. I love seeing that, because, I mean, I love Ben Shapiro, or Shapiro, however you pronounce it. I love listening to him tear people down. He's just so friggin' intelligent, but the words just come boom, 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 boom. And I really enjoy watching these old-time intellectuals formulate their thoughts in their head and take care in the words they're saying. I think a lot of us could learn from that for sure. All right. A new one that I've been trying, and this trends, follow trends. And that doesn't mean I don't mean do the latest TikTok trend, the latest TikTok dance. It's not what I mean. But what I mean is, something simple I heard the other day. But if you're into backup power, and this is something I may try myself. So, I talk a lot about backup power. If the Super Bowl is coming up, think about, hey, I've got a really cool power station that I want to review. Maybe I can do a video on tailgating that helps me review this. So what that does is it brings the content that you're creating and it ties it into something that's top of mind to the public right at the moment. And it helps bring a lot more eyes onto your content. K-Bonk, you're 100% correct. He says Elon uses pauses so well. Also, whether he's stoned or not. Yes. Pauses are incredible. And Elon does. He will stop and he'll even correct himself if he's going down the wrong rabbit hole. And I appreciate that because you can see the wheels just going. And he's like, I want to make sure these words are correct, because very few do that today. And I love it. And maybe there were people back then too that did the same thing, like where they just yammered on fast and didn't care what they said. But I think maybe it was a little less common. What else would I tell myself starting over? I would say find my niche quicker. And that doesn't mean, and what do they say? The riches are in the niches. And that's a bit of an overstatement, but it's true as well. It took me a little while to, I know this is going to sound crazy now, but it took me a little while to embrace the prepperness of myself. I first started as, hey, start a handyman business and let's talk. And it was almost too wide and too generic and too bland. And I really needed to focus down on, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to talk about prepared. I mean, I have lots of things I talk about, but I needed to know who my audience was. I needed to know who my ideal viewer and listener was and who my community was going to be. And I've talked about this. This is why tonight's just a little different, because it's hopefully a look inside this bald melon here at what exactly I'm dealing with. But yeah, I would focus on my niche quicker, because once you find your niche and you find your community and you build an audience around that, you can then expand into some other things without trying to piss people off, for sure. Jump on new innovations as quickly as possible. I hope this is something I've done pretty good at. I know a lot of people in the community have pulled me kicking and screaming on some things like lightning, I think of right away. I'm so glad that Josh and Brian talked me into doing lightning. It's just been great. But a lot of different things, like shorts, for instance. I dipped my toes into shorts on YouTube almost a year after they started, and then I dropped them, and then I did it again, and then I dropped them, and now I'm back into them hardcore. You need to know what you want to do. You need to know what your end result product, what the end result you want, what your goals are, what your aspirations are. But try new things all the time. Don't be afraid to throw the baby out with the bathwater and start over. You're still there, but start over in some ways. Something I did early, maybe subconsciously, and now I have it on paper, but figure out who your ideal viewer is. You've heard it said many times that if you're starting a business, you want to know who your ideal customer is. Well, if you're creating content, you want to know who your ideal content consumer is. And spoiler alert, there's a good chance that you are probably close to what your ideal viewer is. Maybe not. In my case, basically it was. But if you want to, sit down and write out a fictional biography of who your ideal viewer is, and it will help put you in the mind frame, the right frame of mind, to every time you make a video or a piece of content, ask yourself, am I making this for the right person? And it will give you a framework to filter all video ideas, all content ideas through. David Sigler says, throw the baby out with the bathwater is such a great visual. It absolutely is. They're just so funny, where these sayings, we say them so often that they lose the meaning until somebody knocks you out of it and says that to David. And then all of a sudden I'm picturing a poor baby throwing out a baby with the bathwater. David says, so Tim, who is your ideal customer viewer? So I have based that on the metrics and the demographics of what shows up in my channel. But I have an entire list here. Give me a second and I will share a few of them with you. Just so, I mean, I can tell you that in theory, it's a 40, kind of a 35 to a 55-year-old North American male who's semi-upwardly mobile, who's interested in backup power, who probably has some aspirations toward entrepreneurship, who likes tinkering and DIYing themselves. That's kind of right off the top of my head. But if I can find you, let me see if I can find you the rest of this here and I can read a little more for you. And there we are, right there. Ideal viewer. I don't know if I want to read all of it, but I'll read a lot of it. I said, 0 to 90-year-old who works their tail off, Nate says. Absolutely. Yeah. So I had written down 40 to 55. So I was close. Male, yes, because my audience skews 95% male. I love that we're getting more and more women into the group, and don't feel like you can't. I love having Becky on the Friday night shows because hopefully it kind of opens the audience a little bit more to some of the female end of things. Believes in personal freedom, choice, and responsibility, has a family, a wife, a supportive wife, 3 kids who are all almost grown. See, you just start making this DIY mentality, likes to learn new skills, experiment, checks out new tools. Upwardly mobile, can go out on the weekend and buy a new shotgun if they want to, but they're also careful with what they spend and what they buy. They might grow a garden. They might have fruit trees. They have 11 chickens and 2 dogs. They like to be prepared, especially for power outages. Might collect precious metal, maybe some crypto. Drives a truck. Likes to do things themselves, likes to travel and share knowledge with others, watches videos on ham radio, politics, trucks, guns. There you go. So that's a bit of the exercise I did. And now, does every person who follows my content fall into that category? Absolutely not. But you know what's cool? That's the lens that I filter all of what I do, what I create, and hopefully what I share with people. So yeah, they get passionate about whatever they are passionate about. They geek out on things they love. They don't waste money, but they're willing to spend it. There's a few things. So hopefully that helps a little bit. It's a little peek behind the curtain, but that I try to share this stuff so that Nate says we only have 2 kids. Yeah, exactly. Right. And they're not as old as the kids that I imagined in this one. Right. But you get an idea. Okay. So next, here's something. Byron says he needs 11 chickens and a dog. I need chickens. I miss chickens. Becky and I have been talking about that a lot lately. Something else that I never really thought about until recently. And I heard somebody say this and I can't get it out of my head ever since. And this goes against what we all kind of stand for. Not completely, but you know how we're always very worried about being deplatformed, and rightfully so. But here's the deal. I might. Now, I'm not saying I would if I went back to change this, because I don't believe in regrets. I believe in being exactly where I need to be, and I'm exactly where I am because I chose the path that I'm on. I made the decisions that I'm on, and I live with it. But I might have changed my mind a little bit. I might have just focused on a single platform for the first year. And I kind of did, but I kind of didn't. I've always been the guy who says, try every platform and see which one's going to work for you. But I don't know. I'm starting to also see a little bit of benefit in going balls to the wall on a single platform until you build that audience, and then kind of overlapping that audience into other platforms. So I'm not saying do this, but what I am saying is I can start to see some positivity in focusing strictly on YouTube or strictly on TikTok. Now, that goes against my prepper mindset, because if you lost that, you're hooped. So I'm not saying do it, but what I can say is some of the people who have done that have found really good success. So yeah, Mike says, damn, too many kids. I've got 7. But see, I mentioned kids, and you have kids, and Nate has chickens and rabbits, and Pippin is a handyman and everything else. Yeah. So it is, I hope, I don't know. I hope it shows I care a little bit, because I want to make sure I'm making the stuff for the people that love my stuff. Because if I kept making shit that you guys didn't want, you're not going to come back and be like, that friggin' Tim's pissing me off. I'm not going to watch another 3-hour podcast on Danish clog dancing. I don't know where that passion came from, but I'm done. I'm out, whatever, right? So yeah, know your audience. Here's probably the biggest first time tip that I did not focus on that I probably would for new people. Find direct affiliate product links and start with them. I used to say, start with Amazon affiliates as soon as you could, 500 subscribers, whatever. But I've realized on a few occasions now, there are a whole lot of, how do you want to put it? Okay. So if you want to start making money early on, I'm laughing out loud because Adam just said, I love Danish clog dancing. See, I knew I screwed up. I'm adding it to my ideal viewer list right there. So, all right. So if you're first starting off, one of the best feelings in the world is the first time you make $1 or $5 from your content. That to me was probably the thing that motivated me, other than hearing from people saying, hey, I love your content, Tim, keep it up, or better that I started a side hustle and I'm kicking ass because I listened to you, or at least I listened to your stuff and got inspired. How about that? But one of the greatest things that you can get is when you first start making money. And what I've also realized is if you focus on quality and put out a really good quality product, a really good quality video, it doesn't have to have a shit ton of views to start making some money from it. So what I would say is look at the stuff you love. Look at the products you use all the time, the things that you wholeheartedly would endorse because you like them. And then go on their websites and see, do they have affiliate links early on? Look for 2 or 3 of the sweet ones, the ones that offer you a pretty good price. Look at something you might already own. I don't know what it could be that has a fairly big price tag that you like, that you've already spent money on. So it's already a sunk cost. And then try to sign up for the affiliate program with them, because a lot of companies will just allow you to sign up with them because they want the publicity as well. So do a review. So you've already got a product that you love, a product you've already spent money on, and find some affiliate links, and you will be absolutely surprised at how quick you could start making a little bit of money. And I think there's some room in there to kind of supercharge some of your early earnings by doing that. And I did not focus on direct affiliate for a long time, and I think I should have been doing that more. And I thank Spags for that all the time. You guys know the EMP Shield. And again, I was kind of hesitant on EMP Shield. I literally lumped it into the same thing as alien abduction insurance. And then I realized that it was a good product that stands behind their product for everyday purposes. If you like the EMP end of things, that's cool too. Yes. What about working with small? So Adam says, what about working with small companies that you can affiliate with? Absolutely. Yes. For me, EMP Shield's been a great one. And I love partnering with them. And I thank them for reaching out to me. I made an offhand comment that I'd love to talk to them sometime. And I don't know if that ever got back to them or not, but eventually Spags reached out to me, and it's been a very fruitful relationship on both ends. So yes, partner with, and don't be afraid to talk turkey. Don't be afraid to come into it confidently or negotiate, or, especially if it's a company. Okay, here's a good example of this. The Batrix battery cards that I now have, they didn't have an affiliate program when my video blew up. I didn't even know if they did or didn't, and I didn't care. I should have, but I didn't. They set it up because I started selling a whole bunch of their product without knowing it, because it was a product I really enjoyed. Okay. So they set up an affiliate end of things, and we went back and forth on what the amounts would be. They called me and wanted to use my TikTok video, and they offered me a sum of money. And I said, I'd like a little more. So don't be afraid to negotiate. Even if you don't get it, it's okay. You can ask and they can say no, and nobody's feelings are hurt, because you know what? It's fucking business. And that you got to take emotion out of business. So work for yourself, but also don't be afraid to try things out of the box as well. With the Batrix things, I took a flat rate for that bit, but I said going forward, I wanted affiliate on all of that because I wanted to be rewarded for how my videos and my content did, that sort of thing. Ravenwood, hey, Jake, great to see you. I love that. I know I've said it, but his new logo is awesome. Affiliate programs can be great. And yes, they absolutely can. Adam said his co-op is starting an affiliate program. It's great information. Yeah. Look, okay, here's the other thing is, of course, partner with companies you both believe in, but are also geared toward your ideal audience. Because if it's something you believe in, you will be surprised at how many people, once you start building a bit of a community, are like, hey, what's your recommendation for this? Because they look at you. We all share, how often do you ask a friend or, an online community member that you share with, what's your recommendation on A, B, or C, right? We all do it. We want to. Becky and I did a video last week on 10 Amazon items we love and a couple we hated, because people love to hear about that. We always love to hear about little gadgets and things that make our life better. And if it's something you stand behind, why the hell not make a little bit of money on it? Because as an anarcho-capitalist or an objectivist or whatever you want, anyway, it doesn't matter. It's okay. You can both help people and make money. They are not mutually exclusive items. So yeah, there. Hop down on my hobby horse there for a minute. Take a drink. All right, here's the next one. Trim the fat. I'm working on that personally as well. But trim the fat. And what did I put behind that? I said edit, edit, edit. Okay. It's hard to get negative comments. When you get an asshole comment, you turn them into a promo code. When you get an asshole comment, you ignore it. But when you get a quote unquote negative comment over and over and over again on your videos, you better pay attention to it, especially if it's not coming from a single troll. You know what I used to get all the time? People would say, would you just shut the hell up and get to talking about the product? Because I used to spend, if you go back and watch my first almost 2 years of videos, I would spend probably, oh my God, I'm almost embarrassed to admit it, the first 3 minutes, maybe 3.5 minutes, talking about what I'm doing, who I am, how you can support me, where you can go, like just miserable. And why anybody would ever watch that shit, I will never know. Because here's the deal. People can watch anything they want on YouTube or TikTok or wherever else. So you need to offer what you're going to offer. You need to respect a person's time. Here's something else I've realized. I learned this from, I think it was the Film Booth YouTube channel. And they said, don't ask for a subscriber at the beginning, ask at the end. And here's why. So, I used to do the standard, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And I would do it right at the beginning. But here's the thing. People don't know who you are yet because 93% of my views come from first-time viewers or anyway, it's not quite that high, but I get a significant portion of views from first-time viewers. So if I ask them to subscribe at the very beginning of a video, they might hit it, they might not, but I don't know if I want them to subscribe, if that makes sense, because I don't know if they're my ideal viewer. They may not get value from my channel and they might subscribe and then unsubscribe in 5 minutes. They haven't watched my video yet. They don't know what I have to offer. So why would they subscribe? So what I've changed, if you've seen it, is wait till the end of my video. And now I say something along the lines of, hey, if you're still here at the end of this video, it means I made this video for you. And if I did, and you want more of this, hit the subscribe button and stick around. Now, I haven't been doing it long enough to see the numbers, but I'm a believer in that philosophy because, show people what you have to offer and then sell them on you at the end. Because at that point, if they've already seen who you are, what you offer, what you do, then it should be a slam dunk. If they're still there at the end of the video, that means they probably like your presentation style, your personality, your volume, your content, your teaching skills. They probably like all that, and they are a fit for becoming part of not just a subscriber number, but a community member. So take that for what you will. Don't be so scared to try completely different things. I've tried a ton of things. A lot of them have fallen flat. Some of them have hit, a home run. So, one of the things I remember the biggest was that very first Saturday morning, I did an episode on post-apocalyptic movies. And I was like, this is going to fall flat. And people loved it. And now we do things like we have we're planning a 10,000 subscriber movie trivia night. So it's kind of fun to do. Oh, we've had movie nights with the community at times. So, don't be scared to try different things at times. It's okay. Here's another one. Do things you love and it's going to show. Incorporate it early on. Here's what I mean by that. I would say my biggest struggle with content over the last while has been early on for the first, almost 3 years, was that I became a slave to creating the content. And I still do that. But what I realized was I was making so much content, but I wasn't taking time to do my hobbies or try new things. One of the things I did that I loved was build that solar system. And so I made content around it. But all of a sudden I realized I had all these plans of all these DIY weird things that I want to build and do and have fun with. And I wasn't doing them because I couldn't fit it into my content. And I realized, stop right now, Tim, because if you're not having fun doing this, don't friggin' do it. So what I've tried to do more and more is incorporate both a how-to thing, a project thing, and a product thing a little bit, so that when I do, no, this isn't the case all the time. There's lots of review videos that I just do because it's a review that I want to do. But I've been cognizant of that over the last year, especially, that I need to incorporate things that I'm passionate. Now, you say, well, Tim, you're passionate about tools and gear. Sure, I am. Yeah, I am. But not just the stuff, the skills and the projects and the mental stimulation. I need to make sure all of that is wrapped up into my content so that I enjoy it as much, and so that hopefully it shines through this, shiny melon here. Civil Defense, great to see you. Says, to be honest, I found your channel for review videos. I don't tend to watch a lot of other videos you make. Not entirely my cup of tea, and I'd love to see some return to more generic product reviews. Yes, if you want to see that, you'll see product reviews twice a week, every week here. You won't miss them. Hopefully twice a week almost. And I love them. That's absolutely. And here's the other thing. I also had to realize that some people are going to drop off from the channel because they don't like some of the things I do. And it's totally fine. There were people early on when I changed the focus of the channel 100%. And if it happens, I used to cry over it. And now I don't worry about it as much, because the thing is, if I'm not creating the content that somebody wants, that means that I'm not doing the job that they need. And so they'll find it from somebody else. And that's okay. The bigger your community gets, the bigger your channel gets, it's okay to not always make people happy. It is what it is. And you can't always make people happy. And I used to really try to do that. And I want to, I want to do my best to make people, happy amongst all of it. And here's the other thing. And I have tried to balance this line of so I almost twice in my YouTube career, I almost separated the podcast from the YouTube channel. And I came really, really close recently again. And I just can't do it because it's all a package deal at this point. And so I will probably never, I'm not going to say never, and that's okay if I don't, but I may never get the gold 1 million subscriber play button from YouTube, and that's okay. I just kind of want this to be the center for the workshop, and I'm cool with that. And if that, I don't want to say hurts the brand, because it is the brand that everybody knows and the brand that people have come to love. And you know what? I'm already at the growth level that makes this a full-time thing. And I need to make sure that I love what I do for the next 40 years. And I hope that almost everybody else enjoys it as well. Here's the next thing. Social media promotion isn't that effective. So you can spam your social media, and I do it a lot too. I say social media, posting your podcast links, posting your video links is a lot like political signs. Everybody does it, and people think there's no response to it at all. But the one guy who doesn't put up political signs ain't going to get elected. So it's something you have to do, but don't look for a huge amount of growth on social media posts, because here's the deal. The people who are following you there are probably already following you there. So where do you find your growth? Collaborate with other creators that are in your field. 100%. That's where it comes down. Find other people. 3 months into my content creation journey, I did a pretty cool collaboration with a whole bunch of people. And it was huge. Every one of those guys, I think at the time, or everyone but maybe one, had larger channels than I did. But I reached out to talk to all these people. And you know what? They almost all said, no, they all said yes. There wasn't one who turned me down. So swing for the fences. Ask. Man, if people ask me to collaborate with them, you want to believe I will. I haven't been asked to be on a podcast in ages, and I love being on, and that partly is just my own fault for not reaching out and doing it. But here's the thing. Collaborate with fellow creators, people who have larger audiences than you, people who have smaller audiences than you. Get interviewed by people in your field. Be active in the communities where your ideal viewer is. All of that from top to bottom. That is how you find long, slow, sustainable growth. You really don't want that one video that blows up and goes viral at the very beginning of your channel, because you're going to be pigeonholed and you aren't going to have that slow, steady time to really learn who you are and what you create. And thanks, Jake. Jake says you're the best, Tim. I do my best, right? I missed one here that I wanted to share with you guys. Here's another one that is important. Have an opinion and take a stand on things. You can't waffle on shit, because what's the old stupid saying? If you stand for everything, you stand for nothing. If you're not willing to be at least a little opinionated and be convinced that you're right, people aren't going to listen to you. And that's okay if that's who you are. But I'm an easygoing kind of guy. I would say 10 years ago, I was even a pushover. But if you try to appeal to everybody, you're going to end up appealing to nobody, if that makes sense. So have an opinion. That means you're going to piss off most people. But the people you don't piss off are going to be your friends, your comrades, your community members, your supporters, the people who help turn this into a full-time gig for you. Give yourself a deadline and stick to it every single week. Simple as that. I don't know how else to put that there. You live and die by constantly creating content. And it might sound like a slog. It might burn you out a little bit. Figure out a way to balance this out. But I said every week. Now, if you're going to be a monthly creator or a weekly creator, whatever. But whatever your deadline is, set it and just do it every single week. If you're going to be away, schedule content. There's other things. If I move a podcast or a live stream around, I'm cool with that, because I have enough podcasts in the feed. But my weekly Wednesday review video is 100% sacred, except the one time I did miss. But give yourself a deadline. Over 4 years, that single weekly deadline of a video has only been missed one time by me. So give yourself grace, but also stick to your deadline religiously. Kill what isn't working immediately. Just kill it. Get rid of it. If something's not working, well, if you've given a little bit of time and you're like, shit, this is not working, just get rid of it. Okay? Simple as that. I don't know how else to put it. Don't be loyal for the sake of being loyal to your content. If it's not working, figure out why it's not working. I already talked about this, but leave self-promotion to a minimum, preferably to the end. You're there to give value to the listener, value to the viewer. Teach them something. What is it? Entertain, inform, and inspire. If you can't do those three things, or at least two of them in the video, probably shouldn't be promoting yourself. Social, yeah, we did that one. And okay, two more. Respect the viewer's time. Now, that doesn't mean, because I want to tell you, 3.5 hour live streams with John Dowie are a hell of a lot of fun, or 2.5 hour live streams with my wife, because I've been able to incorporate my wife into this. It's fucking incredible. I love them. That's not what I'm talking about. But when you are doing, people tune into a live stream, they tune in, they tune out, it's a community thing. That's what I love about them. But that's different. When you're building a video, when somebody is coming to you for the value of, hey, does this power station work? Does this DeWalt trimmer work? Does this work? Does that work? Whatever it happens to be. If it does, respect their time. Don't waste it on filling it in with a whole bunch of nonsense. But that doesn't mean make the video short. It just means that whatever time you want someone to invest in a piece of content, make sure that it offers value. And that is the final one. Always offer value. And but what I mean by that is, do independent verification of whatever product you're talking about. Don't just do a review. Do a review on a DeWalt portable compressor on how fast it will blow up 4 tires on an RV. Don't just do a review. Do a review on the Thermocell mosquito cartridges and also show them how to refuel the butane cartridge, something like that. But always offer more value than what a person expects, because that is, and you treat it like a business too, right? It can be a hobby, but treat it like a business, because if you offer your customer more value, and here's the thing, you're not asking for money in return for someone watching your content, but what you are, how they repay you for your content, or how you're rewarded is through, eyeballs and ear holes, and through likes and through shares and through recommendations and through becoming a part of your community, all of those things. And if you don't respect a person's time and if you don't offer them value, then you're not going to succeed. And Cabot Porter says, if you didn't offer value, I wouldn't be here. By the way, your monthly payment is late. I appreciate that. And I do appreciate that. And I hope, and I think, no, stop undercutting yourself here, Tim. I fucking know that I offer a shit ton of value. And you know why? Because I get emails and I get packages in the mail from people who say, hey, guess what? I started XYZ business because you talked about this. Or I get a bunch of people coming up to me at live events and saying, Tim, I started a handyman business. I started a dog walking business. I started a freeze drying business. I am starting this because you. And you know what? I would love to say that that's the only payment that I would need, but that would be a lie. I'm fucking elated that I get that form of payment from you guys. And I'm also elated that I've been able to turn this into a money-making operation. And I want anybody else out there. And if anybody thinks, you can't help people and make money, you might as well stop listening. So it is what it is, right, guys? I love it. I love what I do. I love this introspective kind of view this evening. I posted the other day on 9,000 subscribers for YouTube, and we are very quickly going to hit 10,000. And Brian Alexovich gave me one of the best compliments you could find. And he said, and I paraphrase, but that Tim is the hardest working person he knows in content creation. And man, if that didn't give me chills a little bit, I appreciate it, because I hope it shows, because and this is not a complaint. This is not anything else, but I spend a shit ton of time on absolutely everything I put out for you guys, because I want it to be the best, and I want to be the fucking best at whatever I do. So I hope it shows. I'll never be perfect, but I'll always be better than I was last time. So I hope you guys can, get inspired from this. I know, and you can take a lot of this from not just content creation, but turn it into all your other business adventures as well. And I'll be back with a entrepreneurial focused episode here before too long, because I know 2 episodes that everybody loves are content creation and entrepreneurship, because those are 2 of the areas where we can find our independence and freedom. They're the two of the biggest areas where, and I guess content creation, let's just package it all into entrepreneurship in general, because to me, it is a tenet or a pillar of modern preparedness. And if you want to be prepared and you want to be a prepper, I think a person needs to find some sort of, how do I want to put this? Some sort of independent income. Now, that doesn't mean being a full-time entrepreneur, but I think at least a taste of entrepreneurship in everybody's life would serve them really, really well. Civil Defense says, hey, Tim, do you have analytics on locations of viewers? Would be curious on how many are Canada, U.S., or abroad. That was civil defense. And I do actually, and I look at it a lot. But you know what? I'm going to bring it up for you right now just so you can, so I can read it to you here. But it's, I'm around 90% North America. Does that make sense? So let's see if I can find the audience right here. We'll bring it up. It should say, there we go. Okay. I'm a little off right at the moment, but most recently for the last 28 days, I'm 68.2% United States. I'm 10.4% Canada, 4.2% United Kingdom. And I think that's almost entirely Jaggy from Scotland. So yeah, so 78.6% is North America. So roughly 70% is US and 10% is Canada. So that's actually pretty cool. So this is kind of cool. Civil Defense asks, do those analytics play into how you make your videos, product reviews, guests, etc.? That's a good question. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let me back up on this. So yes, they do. I would say the biggest thing, and this is going to suck for Civil Defense Canada and for me as well, but that has played a huge part into both the products that I talk about, but also the form of affiliate that I promote. So if you notice, 99% of my affiliate links are for Amazon.com products. And that was simply because when I first started, that United States number was even higher. I actually really love seeing 10% of my entire views are coming from Canada. That actually kind of excites me quite a bit. And we had a discussion about this the other day in the, I think it was in the Telegram group, or it might have just been on the phone with Carson the other day. I can't remember. Shoot me if you want. But it was that I really, because I hate money and I don't have a Canadian Amazon affiliate set up, I really need to reset that up. Because here's the fun part. When you set things up, sometimes you fail. And my first attempt at Canada Amazon affiliate links failed miserably. So yes, and no, it's okay. Civil Defense says, I do notice that, but I would love to see more Canada-centric stuff, but I get the realities of your viewership now. Thank you. I would too. And here's the other cool thing is that my American folk don't hate the Canadian stuff because that makes me who I am. That's part of my, it is. Look, I got a maple leaf on my forearm, so I am Canadian. Remember that Molson Canadian commercial? And I am going to do more of that this winter. I'm actually pretty excited about doing a lot more cold weather testing on stuff. I have a big plan for doing a couple of showdowns of Amazon booster packs left out in the cold, but I do need to embrace my Canadianness a little bit more, but at least that shows, I have 7 times more Canadian viewers than American viewers. And yeah, so that does kind of shape what I create. So yeah, that it is, but it doesn't mean that I will leave all of my Canadians from behind either. And it's a tough balance, a tough battle, because it would be kind of cool. So here's the thing. I do a lot of Harbor Freight stuff. That is 100% country. No, I don't do a lot, but I talk about Harbor Freight a lot. I also talk about Waffle House a lot. Both those things are 100% country specific. Those are American. Now, most of my Americans probably don't always think about that, right? And Nate says, I like the Canadians. You guys will always be the department above the meth lab called the U.S. And yes, there you go, Civil Defense. It's exactly what I was going to talk about. Stores like Canadian Tire, Princess Auto, those are both 100% Canadian Canadian stores. And they would be fun because I actually think some of my American viewers would have kind of fun me going into some of these stores. And I've been toying with going into places. I went into Staples the other day and I recorded 10 prepping items that I saw in Staples. And I thought that was a lot of fun. And I'd like to incorporate that kind of stuff, but I haven't figured out where it fits into my channel yet. So if you guys have some suggestions for that, but you're right, Civil Defense, it does, Canadian Tire, Princess Auto, but then also Home Depot. We have the stuff up here is very much different than the products you can get in the States. Lowe's was the same way. When I went to the United States, I was able to pick up some products at Lowe's that I wanted to get. that I wasn't able to get in Canada. So it's kind of, and yeah, Civil Defense is 100% right. Princess Auto is our version of Harbor Freight, and Canadian Tire really doesn't have a US equivalent. I have yet to find one. It is its own friggin' beast. Maybe I'll do a walkthrough tour of a Canadian Tire sometime so you guys can see it, because I try to explain it and people are like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I don't know. It's like an automotive first shop. It's got, a third of the store, a quarter of the store is automotive. It has a mechanics bay attached to it. They sell tires, but it's also a hunting and fishing store in the bigger ones. It's also a friggin' hardware store, a sporting goods store, a friggin' Walmart. I don't know what it is. It doesn't know what it is. And then they also bought a store called Party Central. They bought a clothing store called Mark's Work Warehouse. I think they bought Sports Check, which is a sporting goods. So they're like this entire Canadian conglomerate that is really cool. And everybody wants to say, is it like Walmart? And Nate says it sounds like Farm and Fleet. Here's what I'm going to do. When I come down, I am going to look at Farm and Fleet, and I will let you know if it is. I still have my suspicions that it isn't, unless Farm and Fleet has an automotive bay where they repair vehicles, swap tires out, and do everything else. Then it's a little bit on its own. This is a fun little tangent that I didn't expect to get on. So yeah, my geographical basis for audience absolutely plays into what I create. And I have to go with the numbers, right? I do. It is, yeah, it's interesting. And the other thing is that when you start making content, there will be things you just can't make, even though you'd love to, or there'll be certain people groups that you just can't serve, even though you'd love to. So there's always a give and take, and it sucks because, I have had many ideas of spinning off my content into. It would be fun to maybe spin it off into a Canadian centric, because there aren't a ton of Canadian, I shouldn't say this, but because I'm sure there are, and you guys are going to point to 100 of them, but there's not a ton of Canadian prepper gear channels other than a certain dude from Saskatchewan, whatever you want to. Anyway, let's move on from that. So yeah, there is what it is. I would love to do more of that, but when it comes down to it, if you look, so that is, just so you know, that is strictly YouTube. And if I go into my audio only podcast, I'll share that one with you too, just so you have an idea. And okay, so Farm and Fleet does have a full service shop. So Farm and Fleet might be closer, but does Farm and Fleet have an entire houseware section where they sell blenders and knife sets and, I don't know. I'll have to show you. And then they got a whole electronic section where they sell TVs. And then if you go upstairs, they have, this one's a 2-story one I go to all the time, has an entire toy section that would put some Toys R Us to shame. So maybe it is. Maybe it's close to Farm and Fleet. That would be cool. So here, let's see if we can find, where are my analytics? Audience on podcast. This is the audio only downloads. 73% United States, 7% Canadian. So it kind of breaks down to geographical boundaries as well. The U.S. is 10 times bigger than Canada, and so my United States audience is 10 times bigger than my Canadian audience. That doesn't mean that I couldn't niche down on just Canada, but you also have to butter your bread where, I don't know, I lost the metaphor, but you need to go where the numbers are. And I would tell everybody about that. And if some dude in Florida started a channel and all of a sudden, for some reason, 95% of his audience was Canadian, then you'd be stupid not to set up a Canadian Amazon affiliate link, if that makes sense. So Nate says, this is kind of cool. He can buy guns, ammo, oil, chickens, feed, and get all my feed in one stop at Farm and Fleet. So yeah, that sounds a little closer to co-op up here, but who knows? I don't know. But yeah, this was fun, guys. I appreciate it. If you guys, I'd gladly do a follow-up to this episode as well. If you've got more questions on it, let's follow up and do it. Beyond that, I'm out of notes for the evening. This was a good one. We got a busy week ahead of us. what's left of it. I got a couple more rentals I got one more rental filled, and I've got one more to fill. I'm showing it tomorrow. Beyond that, what's coming up? Oh, tomorrow night we got a live stream with Becky and I. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet, so if you have some suggestions, let me know. And Sunday evening, I have Spags coming on. Yeah, so, okay, real quick, Cabot, I have tried to reach out to Steve Wallace. He never got back to me yet. I would love to talk to both him and Runkle of the Bailey. If anybody out there has connections to either of those Canadians, I'd absolutely love to hear from them. Because I also just got a connection from a guy 45 minutes away that I didn't know was here, who found me through James Wesley Rawls, which is awesome. So, with that, guys, I appreciate the hell out of you. I love that you came here and sat with me for an hour and a half talking about content creation. I will see you tomorrow night. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have yourself a great week.